Chapter 9. Always Something New. Jim's next TV show, Fraggle Rock, was meant to encourage world peace. It debuted in 1983, and it included 3 kinds of puppets. The Fraggles were medium-sized hand puppets. The Doozers were little remote-controlled creatures. The Gorgs were big puppets with actors inside. These creatures didn't like one another, but they needed one another. So, they had to learn to cooperate. Jim was trying to show how different groups can learn to get along. In 1984, Jim Henson's Muppet Babies cartoon show began airing on Saturday mornings. The idea came from a scene in his 3rd Muppet movie, The Muppets Take Manhattan, which had shown the Muppets as babies. Jim also made a 2nd fantasy film called Labyrinth. His daughters Lisa and Cheryl helped with some of the plot ideas. Cheryl and Jim's son Brian operated some of the puppets. In Labyrinth, a girl must make her way through a labyrinth, which is another word for a maze, to rescue her baby brother from a goblin. Jim decided it had been a mistake not to use some real actors along with puppets in The Dark Crystal. This time, he did things differently. The rock star David Bowie played the Goblin King. Labyrinth had more humor and songs too. Still, audiences didn't like it as much as the Muppet movies. This was a great disappointment for Jim. The same year Labyrinth premiered, he and Jane separated. They had grown apart over the years, probably partly because work had often kept Jim away from home. They never divorced, and the Hensons stayed a close family. In fact, some of the Henson kids were grown now and working full-time for the company. Still, it was a difficult time for Jim, Jane, and their kids. This is the end of Chapter 9.